Hi everyone, we are going to have the 360-degree VR looks on humans organ, okay? The first part, I want to introduce this system. You can see is the human skeletal system. As demonstration, we can move it up and down so that we can have different parts of views, and we can rotate it. Okay, the extra function is like in the ant mode, we can be just like an ant, and we can move ourselves in an ant field and see it's just like a giant. The other function is called the cut mode. When we turn on the cut mode, we have a cross section. I have to raise it up. It's out of control, the system. Okay, then we can hold it up and down and have a look on those of the cross section. Okay, then now we are going to start. Okay, on the right hand side is the informative box. We are going to have a look on the digestive system first. Okay, here is the digestive system inside of you and us. This is the lips, okay, and behind the lips, those are teeth. In the textbook, you can barely see the actual 3D structure of the teeth, but you can see in here, those teeth at the behind side, they have 2 or 3, we so-called the legs, okay. And those are 3 pairs of salivary glands, and some are larger and some are smaller. They will secrete amylase to break down starch into maltose. Okay, the pharynx is the part you swallow the things. Here is the esophagus. Okay, the esophagus inside your body. So the food will move down and the esophagus will connect the stomach and your mouth cavity. Here is the stomach. You may think it's a little bit small, but actually it can expand because it is flexible. When you have ingest a lot of food, then it will become larger, and in the normal state it's just around this size. Okay, then we remove it. Okay, in the next part, oh no, I have to mention, in the stomach, it will secrete a lot of pepsins for proteins digestion. So majorly it's responsible for the protein digestion. Okay, and we are going to introduce a lot of digestive glands inside your digestive system. For the first one is your liver, and most of the students will not expect the liver actually is a digestive gland, because for the liver it will secrete those bile salt, and it will be stored in the gallbladder, and when you have ingested food, then the gallbladder will release those bile salts into your duodenum. Okay, here is the pancreas. Pancreas will secrete a lot of enzymes, different kind of enzymes for the digestion of food in your duodenum. Okay, actually the duodenum is around here. Okay, around here. This one is the small intestine. The small intestine is highly twisted, and it's very long, and therefore it can has a largest distance for food absorption, food substance absorption. And this one is the large intestine. The major purpose of having a large intestine is that it will store a lot of bacteria inside of it. those bacteria may be good for our bodies. They will help generating those vitamins, and also help breaking down of food. And after the feces has formed, it will store here in the colon, and later it will be expelled from here. Okay, then we have to have a look on the other system. We are going to have a look on the reproductive system first. Okay, those are kidney. Okay, and then we have to move down. Here is the male's reproductive system. You can see the penis is cover a lot of skin, and there are a lot of nerve fibers, and that's why you can feel a lot of, will be very painful is if others has hurt you. And I want to let you see, this is the testis. The testis is the place for the sperms to produce. A lot of cell divisions it will perform here, and those sperms will be stored into the epididymis. Actually, the sperms are stored inside here in the epididymis. When during the ejaculations, those sperm will leave the epididymis and mix with the seminal fluid. They will go through those sperm ducts and finally going through the urethra and go into the female's vagina. Okay, then we have to have a look on those female reproductive system. Here is the actual look of the female reproductive system. This part is the vagina. Vagina is a place for sexual intercourse to occur. And the connected part is the ovary. No, it's not the ovary, it's the uterus. Uterus actually has a lot of thick uterine linings, and it provides place for implantations to occur. This part, they are the oviduct, a place for fertilizations to occur. Those pair are the ovary, and you can see actually it's making a very good 3D model. You can see the follicles are developing inside the ovary. Okay, here is the female reproductive system. Then let's move on to the nervous system. Okay, a little bit of troubles in observing the brain, then we will reset it. Okay, we are going to the brain part first. Okay, actually the brain is protected by the skull. The skull, you can unfold it. Actually, it's a lot of smaller pieces of bone. They have joined together. Okay, then we have to remove it. The teeth, the jaw, okay, the membranes. Okay, then we have a look. Here is the brain. Okay, the cerebellum is the cerebral hemisphere, the left hand side part. Okay, and for the right hand side part is around here. Okay, these are the corpus callosums. They serve a functions in joining the left hemisphere and right hemisphere to provide the connections between two hemispheres. So for some research, they will say that for those kids that have played musical instrument earlier can improve the development of this part, and that's why they will become smarter in their later life. Okay, and the other part I want to show you is that here is the hippocampus. The hippocampus serves as the functions in turning a short-term memories into a long-term memories. So if you have been damaged, this part has been damaged, then you cannot generate any new memories for that person. Okay, this part. Okay, cerebellum. This is cerebrum, and this is the cerebellum. Cerebellum serves as the functions of coordinating muscle movement. Okay, when you are playing those basketball, you have to use this part for you to coordinate muscle movement. The medulla oblongata has a function in controlling those of the involuntary response, just like vomiting, heart rate, breathing rate, etc., etc. So they are controlled by this part. So this part is extremely important. If it has been broken, that person will directly lethal to him. Here is the spinal cord. The spinal cord is protected, highly protected. Okay. And for this graph, it cannot show you the allocations of gray and white matter. Okay, but you can still be fascinated on how it can connect all of our peripheral nervous system into the central nervous system. Okay. For the vertebrate, here it's like this. It has having a S shape to relieve those stress, and inside each part there are a lot of intervertebral discs to reduce those stress. Okay, then we have to move on to the respiratory system. We said first. Okay. The respiratory systems most of the time will be paired with the transport system. Okay. The respiratory system, we have to have a look. We can remove those bones first. Okay. Here is the nasal cavity inside your nose, and the airs will go through here, go through the pharynx, and there are two ways for the airs to go down. The first one is the esophagus to the digestive systems, and the other part is for the trachea, the road to the trachea. Then we have to have a look. The trachea, you can see the cartilage is having a C-shaped structure. C-shaped structure. The esophagus is behind of it. Why? Because you don't want the process of injections to interrupt with the process of breathing. That's why you have to have a C-shaped structured cartilage. On one hand, sustaining this trachea shape, but on the other hand, will not affect with the digestive system. Okay, bronchus are the two sides of the road. Then we can remove those lungs part. You can see there are a lot of branches inside here. On the right piece of the lungs, they have 3 pieces, and on the left hand side, okay, there are just 2 pieces, because you have to reserve a region for your heart to be placed. Okay, the heart is around here, so it will be a little bit smaller. Okay, a lot of branches, and at the end of the bronchia, there will be alveolus to increase the total surface area for gas exchange. Okay, so here is the part of the respiratory system. Then we have to hide it, and going to the transport system, or we will call it a circulatory system. So the function of the circulatory system is to transport the nutrients into every body of our parts, okay? And on the other hand, we want those of the waste substance to be transported back, okay, so that we can do other further processings. So we have to have a look on the arteries first. You can see for those medical students in the Western country, they will learn it by the artery systems and the vein system, okay, one by one first. Okay, here is the heart. What's the definition of artery? The definition of arteries means that those tubes will bring blood away from the heart, okay? So the definition of artery is not defined by whether it's carrying oxygenated or deoxygenated blood. Is the tube that can take those blood away from the heart, okay? And the colors is denoting whether it's carrying the oxygenated or deoxygenated blood. For the red arteries, okay, they are carrying those oxygenated blood throughout our body, okay? It's good, it's very good. But why for this pair of arteries they will become blue, which is the pulmonary arteries, bringing those deoxygenated blood back into the lung to refilling of those oxygen, okay? So they are the function of it. For the vein, okay, you can see it's just like the reverse version of the arteries, but actually it's high under closest to your skins. But for the artery, it's much more deeper inside your arms, okay? This pair, they are pulmonary veins, bringing those oxygenated blood back into your lung, and therefore, okay, you can pump it elsewhere. Those veins, they are carrying those waste, the oxygenated blood back into your heart, so that it can send back to the lung for oxygen refilling. Okay. Then we have to have some dissection of the heart. We can do some unfolding. Okay. There are a lot of parts of your heart. Okay, you can see here are the ventricle of your heart, and here are the atrium. Some of the students will mistakenly messed up with those left and right, but I will provide you a very simple way for your memorization. This hand is the left hand or the right hand of the patient. It's the left hand of the patient, and therefore for the left hand side is always defined by the place of the direction of the patient's left hand, okay? So for this part is the left ventricle, right atriums, and the left atriums, okay? And you can see there's a lot of valves to prevent the backflow of the blood, because when the muscle is contracting, there are two paths for the blood to move. So you have to have a pair of valves to close this direction so that it can move in that direction, okay? Later, the lymphatic system. Okay, the lymphatic system is highly related with your immune response, okay? Here is the thymus. The thymus is the place for the T cells to be mature, and because you can find those cells in here, actually the T from the T cells is taken by the thymus. The B cells is taken by the bone, because they're in the bone marrow. Okay, the spleen is the locations for your memory B cells to locate here, and others immune response will happens this here. So they are very, very, very important. Okay, very important. We have to have a look on those skeletal system. Okay, and muscular system. Skeletal system and the muscular systems, they are always being paired up. Okay, you can have a look on different muscle. You can see for your facial movement, they are controlled by different pair of muscle. It's a very highly complicated system. Okay, and you can see a lot of tendons there. For your hand, those muscles are majorly located in your front arm, and therefore with the connection of those tendons, it can control your movement of fingers. Okay, scapula. Okay, and they are the hip bone. In the book, it has not mentioned you. It has not told you why it has such a flat and broad structure, right? So we have to pair up with those muscles to have a look. You can see, because for this joint is a ball and socket joint, therefore it has to have a lot of pairs of muscle to provide it a 360-degree movement. That's why this bone has a broad surface areas for those muscles to attach on it. At the same time, it's such a large pair of muscles because it has to hold the arms up and such restraint those high stress, so it has to be a very large pair of muscles here. Okay, it's around the end of this course, and we'll see you later.